Yeah, my childhood Pokemon game was Red and Blue
Fuck yeah.
because I'm old.
I had a Game Boy Color too. I also played Red or Blue, but I love Gen 3. But I am like, you know that list of, have you ever seen, there's like a particular list that's like, oh, let me turn off this for feedback. I was like, if you were born from like this year to this year, this is your favorite Pokemon gen. If you're born this year to this year, this is your favorite Pokemon gen. And yep, it lines up perfectly for me. And like, oh god, are my thoughts not my own? Is this?
No, it's just like I feel like there's like, because this applies to other things besides Pokemon, but it seems like when you are about 12, 13-ish, when you are first getting into media stuff and it's like your first time really enjoying stuff, it forms these like core memories. And so you always think that like the stuff that was popular when you're like between the ages of about maybe like 11 to 14 is like the best stuff that was ever made. And that's sort of like a weird way of the way that we form our tastes, and it's like universal. So like, for example, for me, like, yeah, almost everything, like I'm like, oh yeah, the best of everything was definitely between like 1999 and like 2002 or whatever. And it's like, yeah, for 2003 or whatever, like that could totally see that.
Yeah, I think, and you know what? I think that actually lines up pretty well for me too. Now, I still think that Halo 2 is the best one of the series, and that's an objective.
How old were you when Halo 2 came out?
I'm not fielding questions at this time.
Proximity alert. Vessel approaching. The vessel is hailing.
Space.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
Going to do the gamer episode of TNG.
Can't wait for the gamer episode of TNG. I've got the, oh no, I looked up the IMDb of Bluey, and I thought I looked up the IMDb of what is it called?
Peak Performance.
Peak Performance.
It's probably like in my top favorite bad TNG episodes.
I completely agree with you.
It is the example of a perfect good bad TNG episode.
Yes. Well, we are recording now. I mean, when we started talking about Pokemon, I started recording because who doesn't love opening a Star Trek podcast episode talking about Pokemon? It is fucking electric experience.
It is the second season, so there is very little to fucking talk about.
Well, don't worry, it's almost over. Did you know that? We only have one more episode of season 2 before we get to season 3.
Yes.
Fucking Christ.
Now, one of you is the neophyte, right? It's your first time. So Zots, yeah. So what you are going to experience after this is what's called when Riker gains the beard, and it's the term for when it's a term from Star Trek. Well, okay. Star Trek has a like a legend about it, especially for TNG and Deep Space Nine, which is that when one of the main characters has a significant hair change, the show gets good. It's when Riker gains the beard, when Cisco goes bald. Those are the times where you know, like, oh, the show's good now.
Wait, Cisco had hair at some point?
Yeah, like the first season.
Oh yeah, he did. He also gets a beard as well later on.
That's true. That's when he goes like Dominion War hardcore mode. But that's he
becomes evil. He becomes evil Cisco.
I always think it has to do with the fact that like at the beginning of, and this shows up with a lot of shows.
And it's when Janeway lets her hair down, right? That's the one for Voyager.
Maybe, and then I'll say that's probably going to be like when Discovery decides to go to the year 3000 instead of whatever it's doing.
Yeah, okay. I don't know, but I don't understand. Are Trekkies just face blind and they don't know that Riker has a beard right now?
No,
I don't know. It's just that like it kind of lines up because in season 3 is when TNG like finds its stride, I guess I should say.
But does he have a beard now though?
Yes, he has a fucking. We've been watching the. Yes, there's a whole episode where I was like, "Ooh, daddy," because like he had finally had a beard.
Oh
like,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Well, to be fair, there was a significant increase in the quality when this opened up, right?
I don't fucking know. I feel like I feel like collectively, Star Trek fans just imagine that season 2 never existed.
Well, listen, no. It's been a long
nothing
time.
Fucking happened.
Zox, it's been a long time since season 1. Do you remember season 1? How bad that was? And now we're
least no. At least there was something to talk about during season 1. There's
reasons for this
to say during season 2. Season 2 has literally just been like people doing stuff.
Only a few.
Okay. There's reasons for this because this is around the time that Gene Roddenberry's dying.
Yes.
And so shit's kind of a little bit hectic behind the scenes, and so they had to, like, if I remember correctly, for season 2 they had to like deal with like contracts and stuff like that without Gene Roddenberry, and on top of that, like, because their like regular writing system was down, they basically like used a bunch of like, you know, one-off spec scripts. They didn't really do anything of consequence, and it was so like it's like,
yeah.
And also just random, they lost Gates McFadden for a season.
The writer's strike is a huge one this time too, which is why they cut the season short as well, right?
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah, prescient for today.
Yeah, contemporary issues. Star Trek's never been more relevant than it is today.
Wow, capitalism has always been terrible. Yeah, who'd have thunk it?
Now this is a huge one though, because of course, you know, we're seeing now the writers and the actors are on strike, and now and it seems like every industry is also striking. Are the Teamsters striking, or are they like in preparation to strike?
Well, you have to narrow that down because the Teamsters represent various unions. Like,
I see.
Or various industries. Like, it's not like IDUB where, well, actually no, I guess no, it's just like every other industrial union, right? Like,
so is it so are the Teamsters on strike now then?
For what?
For
for what?
Well,
like,
if it's an industry union, it's the whole industry, right? If
no.
Because if it's like separated, it's like a
there's Teamsters, for example, that represent like different like steel workers or something like that, and then there's also unions that represent, for example, like the UPS, right? Like that's another version of the Teamster union. Just like there's there's different. It's not like they're not like a monolith type thing. Same thing with like the AFL-CIO. Like there's different.
Okay, so there's different like
there,
Teamsters organizations, and some of them are on strike, and some of them are preparing to strike. And
yeah.
I know like airline stewardesses are also in preparation. Shit's getting real right now, and
general striking guys
for real, right? Like,
hey, I'm going on strike. I'm strike. You know what? Bye.
I'm actually also going on strike against my boss. My boss being me. I'm just going to go play Baldur's Gate a whole bunch and not make YouTube videos.
Yeah, I've actually been
striking against the fact that your boss decided to have a kid.
Yeah.
I can't believe they'd hire someone on like this. They do nothing. I'm having to take care of them constantly.
True, yeah. We didn't vote them in.
Yeah, I
have seniority, so you know.
I've been actually like writing for an upcoming show. Ooh, I won't talk about it yet. But it's gonna be like a Twitch thing. It'll be fun. And so am I scabbing? Am I scab? No, it's fine. No, it's fine, right? No, we're fine.
No, you're fine.
We're fine. I will scab though if they let me write the next
nothing you're doing affects anything that happens in Hollywood. So.
On the contrary, I am sending this out to Paramount right now. Hey, guy that made Lower Decks, if you want to do like a live action Star Trek and you need a real crack writer, such as myself, contact me. I will cross the picket line.
Oh, cool! Then I'm coming to fucking the West Coast to break your fucking kneecap for scabbing.
I will cross the picket line.
It's my wobbly duty.
I will happily accept a broken kneecap so long as I can bring
I guess I'll have to break your
back into
thumbs or your thumb and your middle finger. I feel like that.
No, but I need those to scab.
Process. Yeah, that's the point.
You'll get a scab, all right.
Yeah, that's right. What happened to the good old days where people used to like tack fucking bosses' cars in the parking lot and shit? What happened to those good old days? When are we bringing those days back?
I think we need to elect I think the actors need to elect Ron Perlman to a leadership position because there's gonna be some fucking houses burned down. Ron Perlman is so cool. He's like, the last thing I remember Ron Perlman like talking about us is he was like, oh, we should put Trump Jr. in a cage or something, and people were like mad at him for it. He's a very powerful poster. Big respect to Ron Perlman. Well, hey folks. It's Left Trek. Hi. Writer's strike is happening. It's been happening. Writers and actors strike. Holy shit! We're mirroring exactly. Well, not exactly, because only the writers were on strike, and that's why these episodes are short and some of them suck. Gene Roddenberry currently, at the time of like the writing of this episode, has his foot in the grave. It's Left Trek time, baby. Welcome to Left Trek, your leftist Star Trek podcast. I'm Eric. I am just the best tic-tac-toe player in the entire world. I'm in the entire galaxy. In fact, I'm rated at #1, and I'm going to challenge some neophyte and then some android. But that's neither here nor there. I am joined by Zotz.
Hi everyone, I'm Zotz. I'm a hacked computer program to make you think that I'm actually a ship that's not really there.
And we are joined by special guests earning their 2-time Left Trek challenge coin. It is Tristan of Step Back History.
I'm a Ferengi captain who looks suspiciously like Armin Shimmerman.
He looks really suspiciously like Armin Shimmerman, isn't it?
I feel like they made a joke in one of the non-canon books or something like that. Quark has like a bunch of cousins that happen to be all the times that Armin Shimmerman played a Ferengi and random things. I also forgot that even in season 2, because like there's a Ferengi, a brief Ferengi encounter in this episode. But I just remember that, like, because the Ferengi were originally going to be like the Klingons of TNG.
Yeah, the main antagonist.
Which didn't really work because they were too objectively hilarious. And so they decided to switch to the Romulans later. Spoiler alert, Zotz.
Well, we've already that's like basically already happened, because like the season 1 it ends just like, oh, the Romulans are back, folks. We got to start worrying about the Romulans now.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like it was a good choice, because then Deep Space Nine ran with Ferengi and did amazing, beautiful, did like flat out slapstick episodes of Star Trek. It's amazing.
It's like actually so good. And even season 1, even like episode like 4, I think, is the one that introduces like the Ferengi. It's like, oh my god, they've been rising in power, and it's hard to separate like what we know of the Ferengi now in comparison to what what was set up with the Ferengi at this time. And like the answers to that is like not much. Like they're referred to as Yankee traitors in the first time of of their
Yeah.
appearance, which we all made fun of.
It's also strange as like a kind of cute little bit of knowledge is that Farangi is actually like derived from the term that like I think it was Persians used to use to refer to Europeans.
Interesting.
So like Farangis were like it was like a sort of Persian term for European traders, which is either Persian or Arabic. I can't remember, but it's one of those two.
I'll trust you. Whatever you tell me, I'll believe you.
We are programmed to believe Tristan when told
Oh,
the
boy.
history thing.
But yeah, I don't know. I remember the structure of the show, but I have lots of. I watched this again, and I was like, "Yeah, this is a genuinely good bad episode of TNG."
I
I'm
agree, but I'm so curious to hear what Zotz has to say about this.
I don't know. I just fucking hell. I hate this. I cannot stress enough how much I hate this fucking season.
Okay, but
if
this episode is
we
like
could've-
fun. It's peak like this is like the kind of TNG that you watch on 2 p.m. on a Saturday when you're like half asleep and you're like, oh yeah, this is TNG comfort food. This is like the characters do their character things. They have a little bit of fun. The stakes are pretty low.
Yes,
It
it
is
allows lots of fucking Picard data interaction, which I'm always for. You know what I mean? And you get like that great line, you know, the fucking it's like, you even doing your best, you can still fail or whatever the fuck. You know, it's like, yeah, that's cool. Like I can see that from the perspective of like, yeah, that's what makes Picard a good captain. Mirror, mirror, mirror. He pulled the android out of his fucking funk, you know, and it's like. But then at the same time, I think of like the rest of season 2, and one episode does not a season make.
Hey, we've had Measure of a Man, we've had Q-Who.
Good.
Measure of Man's this season. That one's
Yeah.
a classic.
That was fucking
Jesus Christ.
episode 9, season 2,
That's like-
episode
Tristan,
9.
that's like
Tristan,
the,
you know
like-
what the meme is? You know what the meme is? Because it is for me to rate every episode higher than I did, or no, was it? Yeah, no Measure of Man shall not be rated any higher by me.
Oh yeah, we had it was me Brian
Kira?
Zotz, and we had on Kira and Nicotine on, and Nicotine and Zotz were going to fucking town on Measure of a Man. See, that's the great thing about Zotz. Not only does Zotz know nothing about Star Trek, but also he's a natural contrarian. So
I mean, it has nothing to do with being a contrarian. It
so
wasn't
we
that
get some
fucking
great
good.
hot
Even-
takes from Zotz.
even fucking Nicotine, right? Who is like a huge fucking Star Trek nerd, right?
I was shocked
Like,
by Nicotine's
Even
opinions on
she
Measure of a
was
Man.
like,
I was
even she was
startled.
like, you know, like this fucking thing sucks. This.
Oh man,
I
like how depressed you sound, Tristan.
it's
So good.
okay. I will say that it is theoretically TNG at one of its best because it's like if you like TNG because it's like the high concept like episodes that make you think and talk for a long time. Like the people who read books like Philosophy of Star Trek,
It's
a thing I did read. It's there.
It proved my point that this is nothing but West Wing in space.
No, it did not.
Yes, it did. That's
so-
all. That's all it is. That's all.
So,
It's
yeah.
like a bunch of people that are just like, yes, this is how a court system works. Yes, this
No,
is. You're
that's
going
not-
to fucking. Oh God, I fucking.
These
hate
people,
that.
I swear, these people parentheses Nicotine and Zotz, I swear to God. Of course, Measure of a Man, an amazing episode, a strong recommendation for anyone. It's great, it's amazing, and these
Yes,
people
if-
come in here like cinema sins, going,
Yeah, if you had to
ding,
pick-
courts don't work like this. Ding, where's the discovery phase?
I'll also add though that Trekkies are there's a sliding scale of our I feel like Trekkies are weird people when it comes to appreciating episodes because we do love things that are objectively terrible. And I get it. It's just it's just like you have to understand. You just have to get it. Like it's part of the rules. It's just
I'm
like,
a fan. Like, don't get me like.
On the contrary,
Listen,
Tristan, all
I'm
the things I
fucking-
like are objectively good.
Listen.
I disagree with that on my own. On my own taste. I like things that I know are terrible.
Listen, I'm a fucking queer, all right? So I love camp, Okay. So there are episodes where I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm here for this. I fucking love this. But god damn, this season was very bereft of that. There's been little to no appropriate levels
Have you
of camp.
have you done the Sherlock Holmes episode?
Yes.
Yes, that was back in like season 1.
No, that was season 2. That was season,
That was season 2 because it's got Pulaski. That's how I know it's the Pulaski
that's right.
season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, and like I'm still trying to figure out when they're gonna like dig Moriarty out of the fucking junk drawer on
It
the
does
USB
happen.
stick.
Oh, yeah,
that
that's
shoe does drop later.
Yeah, that's not until like season 5 or something. it's
And also randomly, it gets a scene in Picard as well. Actually,
Oh god. Oh god.
it's not a bad scene either.
I'm sorry. Anytime someone talks about New Trek, I start retching. No.
Oh, yeah, my job is to be the virulent defender of new Star Trek. I forgot about that.
We have had Jesse Gender on, so I'm
Okay.
so we're.
Honest, I'm coming off like the day this episode is recorded. We're coming hot off of the season finale of Strange New Worlds, and last week's episode was a literal musical episode that had a rap break done by a Klingon boy band. So Star Trek is still good. Is all I'm saying.
Listen. I don't know anything about Strange New. I watched all of Picard and I watched all of Discovery. And I watched one episode of Strange New Worlds. The first episode, I tapped out immediately. I couldn't take it. I hated it so fucking much. I hated it
Man,
so
it's
much.
the most beautifully unhinged Star Trek show ever. It has, so like what's it called? Musical episode. Then the episode before that was like your very classic Star Trek. Hey, we have a diplomat on board who did war crimes. How do we like square with that? And then before that was a crossover with Lower Decks that was fucking hilarious.
Oh,
and then before that it was
I love
like
Lower
a
Decks, by the way.
it was a sitcom. It was a Vulcan related sitcom episode where freaking Spock gets in an accident and loses his Vulcan side and has to pretend to do all these Vulcan rituals while he's like processing emotions and stuff. It fucking rules.
So
all
everyone
over.
that has recommended strongly Strange New Worlds to me is both A, already a fan of New Trek, and B, liked the first episode, and those two things make me not trusted persons. However, I am so glad I watched Star Trek Picard season 3, which is a statement I thought I would never say. Star Trek Picard season 3 is so good, and it does exactly what I was talking about in the Measure of Man episode. If you have something like, not every single thing that happens in especially a long-running TV show over multiple seasons of multiple series, not every individual thing has to be related into canon, because that's how you get Star Wars, and we don't want to get a Star Wars up in here. And you know what Star Trek Picard season 3 does? It takes all that other shit, Star Trek Picard season 1 and season 2, throws it out the window, does something else, and it's great. It's actually great. Also, Alex Kurtzman seems to not have had his greasy little fingers all over everything.
Yeah, Terry Matalas seems pretty based in his Star Trek stuff. Either way,
know, it's great. He's
we
great.
got to
I
keep
love
on topic. We got to get to
This is left track. There's no keeping on target.
peak
Topic.
performance. The episode where Data becomes an esports gamer.
Yeah, the gamer episode, and it is interesting because we're all gamers. Oh, don't worry, I'll censor that word. And it's interesting, like, looking at this, because now we do have the rise of like professional like esports, for example, and even like more traditional things like chess have also become like an esport in the same degree. And so like the way that they look at competition in this, it feels very different to like how I feel like we, or even especially if any of you are like esports fans, like such as myself. But and I'm wondering, like, is this part of a cultural shift, or is like the writing on this genuinely confusing? Well, let's get stuck in. So, we start this is so the premise of the episode, they're having a war game. Picard has some trepidations about the Federation apparently now doing war games, and you think that'd be a pretty common thing, but as they explicitly state in this episode, Starfleet is not a military organization, so the
just ignore all of the Navy stuff that's attached to it.
I know it's weird, but hey, I'm on board with it. It's a professional organization that's responsible of like wielding great physical power, and you know what? I'm for it. I think it works. I think it's fine. I like it. I definitely prefer
the idea of thinking of like, hey, Starfleet, even if they are a bit, because I think DS9 kind of points out that they're a little bit of hypocrites for it, but I do like that they're like, oh, their big flagship that they poured everything into is just their ship that they use to put a bunch of families on and go explore shit. It's fun.
Yeah, it's great. Especially with like the Defiant showing up and everyone's like, a warship? The Federation doesn't make warships. It's like, I mean, hey, I like it. I don't get the same kind of like dissonance that some like especially like leftist fans do regarding the Federation's like role as a military, because like in an ideal society, I feel like this would kind of be like what like a military, if even necessary, if even such a concept being necessary, would do. It'd be like a bunch of people that are professionally dedicated to like organizing at a large scale to accomplish like these tasks, and then also that same organization could be retooled into some sort of like defensive military if necessary. Like if we had like every single person in the army like stop doing wars and like come home and like build houses or something. Like hey, that'd be nice, right? Like that'd be. Yeah. I mean, it's not quite the same thing, but
it's an ideal. It's obviously not perfect, but actually, I prefer like it not being perfect because it makes the world feel more real. And I feel like when they go too hard on the Federation and Starfleet being perfect and like the ideal organization, it feels less like a real thing, and so I enjoy it. But yeah, the war games, and because of that, they invite what the hell's the name of this?
They invite Mr. Zach on board, who is a member of a race.
It's the Zach Dorn. Zach Dorn, who is his name is what is his name?
Zachary Taylor. And he is the greatest chess player of all tic-tac-toe player of all time. And in fact, his species is considered the most innately strategic mind in the galaxy. And Worf's like, ooh, the reputation isn't earned because they're not gonna fight, and also because this guy's kind of chubby and like over 45. So like what does he have? And so this particular and Worf's like, fuck this guy. Data's like, oh, but his physical prowess doesn't matter. We're on board a fucking spaceship, you Klingon moron. So this particular war game is apparently going to be conducted by the Enterprise versus some like shitty decommissioned ship.
Oh my god. So it's the USS Hathaway. But then I'm like, I look at it and like, I remember this. This is the old Miranda class model that they had sitting around from Wrath of Khan that they had to dig out for this thing.
Oh, is that the model that they use? Nice.
Yeah, that's the Wrath of Khan ship.
I know that the bridge they use is just the battle bridge, like very obviously just the battle bridge. It is the battle bridge, but also the battle bridge was like a slightly retooled version of the bridge of the Enterprise from the first 3 TOS movies. Oh yes, I remember. And correct me if I'm wrong, and I didn't actually see this in the trivia, but I feel like the engine room set, it reminds me a lot of like there's another engine room that reminds me of. I thought it was like the fake Federation ship from the episode of Voyager where there's that one like really smart guy that I think is being played by like a sitcom actor.
Where what's his name from Seinfeld has a vagina face.
Is,
Um,
wait, who is he from Seinfeld? Who? Yeah, I knew it was a guy. Who is that?
he was oh my god, this is the problem is I haven't watched a whole lot of Seinfeld.
Was
but,
it? It's not Newman, is it?
No. It's the main cast member.
Is it Kramer?
No, other one, little guy.
George? Oh,
George,
no.
yeah.
That's
George Costanza with a vagina face.
Oh,
that's
I know. That's a different one than what I'm thinking of. But yeah, George Costanza does play legendary role in an actually great episode of Voyager called Think Tank. George, what the fuck? I know his real name, Jason Alexander. Jason Alexander, actually a great actor. He hasn't been used as often as I would like, but like, I mean, hey, you know, he's got that fucking Seinfeld money for the rest of the time. He's golden. I mean, maybe not actually, because like so much of Seinfeld is like streaming, and streaming residuals like don't exist. So, so
one of the things
hey.
like that I picked up while watching this episode, I dug way too deep into thinking about stuff. The two things that came to mind
same
were,
here. Yeah, I'm trying to skip over a lot of shit in my notes.
the last episode I came on was the like a computer virus thing, and it's because computer viruses were like new in 1988, and I think in this point we're at like 1989, and I was curious. I don't know for sure because 1998 was when Deep Blue beats Gary Kasparov at chess, and basically like computers.
I was wondering the same thing.
And I know that like in the late 80s / early 90s is when computers are becoming a much more publicly aware thing. They're entering homes, and their capacity to do things that humans could not is like expanding. And I'm wondering if like, because like in this one they were trying to figure out about gaming or about games, and like that was like the time when like I imagined they were probably starting to make chess bots, and I'm wondering if there's something to that.
Yeah, because even before Deep Blue beat Kasparov, which was 88, you said, right?
98. So after this.
98. Oh, okay, yeah. So this question I think is definitely in the air. You could definitely see some inspirations for this exact kind of question, right? And like chess computers in 98, like we're thinking about like like the chess computer in The Thing. You remember that, where he pours the like whiskey in it and breaks it at the beginning of the fucking movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that sticks out too, that kind of like rings as like the commonality between the A and B plot, is that both of them are trying to do like a David and Goliath, or sort of like a how to fight if you're an underdog type thing. Because I think this is the episode where they're really trying to give Riker some character, and they're trying to show that he's like the unorthodox guy who's scrappy and like does cool weird tricks. Like that's his thing. And this is the episode that they kind of established that. And so they give him like the old ship from Wrath of Khan. And the whole, like, they spend the entire episode setting up that, oh, the Enterprise is going to fucking destroy this thing, like, which makes a war game concept very silly, because it's like, oh, how is this war game going to go? You're going to beat up this little dinghy, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like, this whole time, and I have some justifications for it that I have written in my notes that we will certainly get to.
Okay, but I do think that there's something interesting about how, like, they do that, and the way that Riker plans on winning, or I guess is by changing the conditions of the test, because he doesn't plan on beating him. He plans on like using sensor ghosts and a lot of really weird stuff that you don't see any other ships do ever. We're just like inventing fake ships and stuff. But either way, it's still on brand for Star Trek stuff.
Well, that is like the number one like thing that we see someone who's like good at like tactics do in like Star Trek. It's like, make the other person think that there's a bunch more ships. it's a very it seems to be a very common tactic, but it's done in the sensor ghost. There's even like a term for it as well. And we see it done in several different instances with like holograms and stuff, when that stuff gets more apparent. So
Data wins because he like basically pushes for a stalemate, and basically like he
the spoilers
basically frustrates him.
Spoilers, the spoilers. We can't let the audience in on what happens at the end. Whether Data wins or not is a question that's up in the air. No, it's not. He definitely wins. So what the interesting thing is that one interesting thing about like this war game is that Picard needed to like agree for it to take place. Like the Federation's like, hey, you should do this. And Picard's just like, no, I don't think that's appropriate. But apparently their encounter with the Borg and the potential threat of the Borg. It's like, well, let's get some strategery going. We're gonna need that if we want to fight the Borg, and that kind of justifies the whole like mismatch thing to me. It's because like, well, this little shitty ship versus the Enterprise is at least as like threatening as the Borg versus like the Enterprise, right? So
yeah, this also sets up a really good theme that fits like Picard's arc in a lot of the like in all the shows that he's been in, and like sort of the thing that like they're doing in this period, which is this like, because like the TOS era
shows he's been in.
the TOS era. The TOS era was really like the story of them coming out of wartime and trying to enter into a shaky period of peace. So like they deal with like the Cold War with the Klingons and stuff like that. The TNG era is them in a period of peace where the people who are more like, ideologically driven to like the ideals of the Federation are pushing back against forces that are trying to militarize Starfleet. Like this is why like TNG has all those corrupt admiral episodes, or like you have all the shit with like Section 31 and Deep Space Nine, and like in this, and so this is like another kind of piece in that story of like Picard being the philosophical ideal of what the Federation is supposed to be against the like pushing for more militarization on behalf of the Federation, even though
I need to hold back because I have so many hot takes about this, especially about like half of the evil admirals I think are actually
aliens.
No good. I think most of them are right. Like Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer? Who's the guy? Whatever. The guy.
Kelsey Grammer was like the Enterprise C, wasn't he?
Yeah, no. Oh, yeah, you're right. No, it's the guy I always think is Kelsey Grammer. Sorry, he's fucking Locke from Lost. He's also a million other things too. But he's the captain of the Pegasus, Riker's old ship, and I think he was completely justified in that. I think the Federation the Federation is really bad at treaties. You just gotta listen. This is the whole bonus episode.
That's a whole different episode. That's also really good because not only is it like an homage to the Philadelphia experiment, but it also is like about it's kind of like the good Deep Space Nine episodes when you point out that the Federation's like extremely hypocritical, and that one is like where they're actively violating the treaty that they had with the Romulans by developing their own stealth tech, and I thought that was really clever.
Yeah, and I agree with the treaty violation. That is, I also am something of a this is gonna paint me poorly. I think I'm also something of a Section 31 defender in Deep Space Nine, not in Discovery, where they're just like evil or thing. But that's a whole
in Discovery they're painted as basically the CIA, and they go pretty long lengths to try and defend it. Like it's very much like
because they
still want to be Discovery cool. Is very much like because they were definitely setting up the show that never happened, and now it's going to be a movie.
God, I hope it never happens because I know I'm going to watch it. I know I'm going to puke my guts out watching it.
But they were definitely trying to be like, oh, it's a shade of gray, because like Deep Space Nine points out that Section 31, like giving any Black Ops operation unlimited power turns them fucking evil. But Discovery was trying to be like the way that like Democrat, like liberals try to defend the CIA, where it's like, no, they do the things that we can't do. They keep Paradise going.
And that's like the justification of Deep Space, of them in Deep Space Nine. And in Deep Space Nine, they're like, that's like, oh, this is a bad thing. It's like, oh, this is a bad thing. We're like me, like Eric. I think like they're doing nothing wrong here. And then in Discovery, the show's like, oh no, but they're actually necessary. And then I, be Eric, I'm like, these people are evil monsters. That's the hot take that needs like such severe justification that we just need to move on from it, and I apologize. so Starfleet's not forcing you to do it. Mr. Zachary Quinto is walking around. And he's kind of like a rude asshole, and Pulaski's like, this guy needs to get pegged. And Riker and Picard's like, oh, Riker, assemble your own team to go over to the shitty ship, and then he like questions Picard's like command of the Enterprise because he allowed Riker to select his own team. It's like, what?
Yeah, he does say like cartoonishly stupid things that a strategist wouldn't say.
He's just an asshole. He's just a prick.
Yeah.
he's just a real motherfucker.
Yeah, I think it's really hacky writing, but what it's trying to do, I'm hoping, is that it's trying to establish the sort of traditional strategy versus like your sort of like Sun Tzu type of strategy. And this is like the big thing that I took away from this, which is like, if you're the underdog in a fight, like one of the rules of strategy is that's when you have to do more risky shit, because if you're behind, you have to do like the more tricky things. Asymmetric warfare, I think it's called in terms that are more academic. And like this guy obviously is like just a straight up chess player, and he's like losing to the Go player, I guess.
He at no point is his like master of strategy challenged, and I think like he does act like a shitty, like a toxic esports player, right? He's really good at the game, and he's a fucking asshole to people all the time, and he even rage quits. He's like Hydra, or what's a more contemporary example?
You just knocked loose a very old memory engram from is that guy still doing shit? That guy was such a dick.
I'm sure he is doing. I think he quit esports because he's like, I don't like what competitive gaming does to me as a person. And I'm like,
also,
wow, Hydra,
like
that's
now,
fair.
so.
That's very healthy of you. That's excellent.
There is, of course, the worst professional Zerg player in StarCraft 2 who whined and complained constantly and was never good and never won anything, and then he decided to become a Twitch streamer and become one of the shittiest liberal Twitch streamers named Steve Bonnell II, aka Destiny, which was his name. That was his name in StarCraft.
I didn't know this.
I forgot Destiny was originally a StarCraft player.
I did.
StarCraft 2. My bad. StarCraft 2.
As somebody who was I was a heavy Zerg player in StarCraft 2, and I was fucking embarrassed that Destiny was part of our clique.
Oh my, yeah.
I had no idea that you had ties like that. Ugh.
Well,
Gross,
I actually was a like very good like on one of the third party ranking sites. I was at one point rated like 368th, I think, in North America, which is like silver in like Korea. But I was pretty good at StarCraft, and I'm surprised, like, given my ties, that I didn't even know that Destiny was a fucking StarCraft player. That sucks. So he was shitty and he bitched all the time. Then he became Destiny. Wow.
Yeah, that's Destiny's secret origin story. And I always when I heard people shitting on Destiny, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that like someone else had taken the name. And then I realized it's the same goddamn guy. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. Twitch is like the world. Like, I don't know much about Twitch. I don't do much on Twitch. Mm-hmm. But it's like the world where like people who are like who think because they're good at video games they can have political takes. Like there's another one too, who's like maybe one like he made World of Warcraft videos and streams, and I was like, he might be one of the dumbest human beings I've ever actually seen. Like, I'm surprised that his heart, like his brain can actually run his heart. Yeah, Asmongold.
Yeah.
And then he starts showing up on political streams, and I'm like, no man, this man like, he's so stupid. He just doesn't know anything.
He's one of the stupidest motherfuckers. Like, Asmongold is like, of that group, Asmongold is like the more mild of like, oh god, there's another motherfucker.
His takes aren't bad. He's just very unintelligent.
I want to defend him to some degree, not because he's like a good person or anything, because I hear he's like a fucking asshole, but like you watched that Folding Ideas video about like World of Warcraft, right? The what we left behind one. By the way, if you're interested in World of Warcraft, highly recommend that episode. That video is called "What We Left Behind," and then like so like he talks about Asmongold in it, and I watched like Asmongold's reaction to it, like out of morbid curiosity, if anything, and he actually had like a really like reasonable response to it. He's on stream with some other guy. Some other guy is like is obviously some yes man. It's like, oh, it's a shitty video. This guy sucks. Asmongold's like, oh yeah, no, this guy definitely knows what he's talking about. Like, oh no, this is definitely like a fair criticism. I don't agree with how he's portrayed me here, but this is fair. This is really interesting points that he brings up, and I was so impressed because I had such a otherwise low opinion of Asmongold. Like, wow, he's really hearing this guy out. He's really engaging seriously with this video, and he has some really interesting insights. But yeah, like taking these people and then they get famous on Twitch and they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go into politics. I'm gonna spread some takes.
Like politics
around.
is just the new fucking EA game that came out, and they can become like raising the ranks of it, and it's like,
yeah.
And that's how, and it shows like they're so fucking detached from the actual consequences of politics. So then it's all just a game to them, literally.
Oh yeah,
and it leads to the worst fucking opinions ever, and that's how we get like. The fact that it's how we get debates, and debates are like one of the worst fucking things that have happened to the internet. So,
yeah,
anyways,
people still do that kind of shit too. It's obnoxious, but I think that this
Strategema
guy, he actually does like paint.
He's
like,
a Twitch debater, yeah.
The perfect image of like the toxic like esports guy, undeniably great at the game. In fact, apparently this guy in particular is the best person in the whole fucking galaxy at this game in particular. Yeah. And this
is a guy who claims that he has de-radicalized so many Nazis by debating and just saying enough tactical slurs to get them to back off. That's what Strategema is basically. It's just can you say enough tactical slurs to de-radicalize your enemy?
Right. Yeah. So Riker is like, hey Wesley, do you want to join my team on board the shitty ship? And you know what? That justifies all of the Zactorn talking shit about Riker. He fucking asks a 12-year-old to come be a bridge officer.
And then clutch though, because he like his homework is like, hey, my homework just happens to be made of like this like the most
my
powerful
homework
fuel in the universe.
Be antimatter. And, oh my god, look at that. We just happen to really need some antimatter. But apparently Riker, he's something of a Strategema player himself, and he challenges Mr. Zactorn to a game, and the guy's like, although I'm intrigued by the audacity of your quest, I can't imagine why you would want the encounter. But like, if you're an amateur in all senses of the word at something, like you love something and you're not like, professional at it, especially as something like a competitive game, especially like a strategic competitive game, doesn't it make sense that you'd want to challenge like the best people of all time to it? Like if I'm playing like Counter-Strike, right, like I don't see any point in like, I mean even then, like fighting like the best Counter-Strike player of all time would be somewhat interesting, but like that's boring because all they're going to do is like get like hold corners to do like instant fucking like frame 2 headshots on you that you'd have absolutely no ability to react to whatsoever. But even
it depends on the game. I think chess, like I think that there a lot of the comparisons they make, because they refer to him as a grandmaster, I think a lot of the comparisons are with chess, and I do know that chess players like would revel in the opportunity of playing against a grandmaster because
exactly, absolutely, like literally, like I'm not good at chess at all, but I don't like even like chess, but even I would be like, yes, I'd love to play. I don't know who's great right now at chess. Magnus Carlsen, is that the guy's name?
Who's the guy who put the thing up his butt? That guy.
That's that kid.
Play against the butt guy.
He wasn't easy. He was he was a video game. He was a gamer.
He's a toxic gamer.
Yeah.
that whole thing's stupid because like I hate both the people in the situation, and the accusation is like outlandishly ridiculous. I watched some great videos.
Listen, I don't know if either one of you two. I mean, listen, feel free to say no or not. I don't know if either one of you two have ever had a vibrating butt plug in before. But I can tell you, you, if it's on, it does not help you think. It does not make you go, it is definitely not a thing.
Well, and also like it's like wild because like the things that you would need to do to use that to cheat, like you'd have to hover over like a piece, unless someone's transmitting like Morse code messages, in which case not like that easy to decipher Morse code coming in vibrations through your ass. But so like
I mean, at that point you kind of deserve the win just for ingenuity alone, right? That's the equivalent when Wesley gets the vibrator from his like closet and brings it onto the Hathaway, and he's like, "You cheated," and he's like, "It's creative use of tactics."
All right, but so like they're like, oh well, hey, whatever. I would relish the opportunity of being stomping by like the best person in the world. That's something that I love. And we cut down to Jordy's talking to Riker as they're walking to the arena, and Riker's like, well, are you gonna win? And Riker's like, nope. Do you have a chance? He's like, nah.
I love his attitude. Honestly,
yeah.
like
Great.
Like Riker has moments where he comes off as smarmy as shit, but when he's doing that, I'm like, oh man, he's a sweet guy.
Yeah,
I like him.
this back and forth, I really like, and again, don't know why everyone's getting so weird about this. It's just a game, because Jordy's like, are you even gonna bother to show up? And he has to explain to Jordy like, it's an honor to even play this guy, and of course he is. He's the best person in the galaxy, like at this game that presumably billions of people play, and he's the best. And you have a chance to fight him at it, and you like the game. Of course you're gonna do that. Like, can you imagine how many just like random requests like any like grandmaster chess players get by people wanting to like take them on? Like come on. But that again goes to it, because like they're treating this like very seriously, like the challenge is like getting dominated in some game would be like a bad thing. But I think maybe I was like really tearing that apart in this episode, like really thinking about it, like, well, these people ridiculous. But I really do think that like maybe this is like a cultural shift, like we're gamers, we understand like the also Eric remember mentioned that word in the edit, we all understand like the thrill of a challenge like this. But hey, maybe these like random science fiction writers in like in the late 80s don't really get
you can kind of I can actually imagine something like that, because we live in a capitalist society, and capitalism is entirely focused around like winner takes all competition. And if you grew up in like a sort of communist society, officially now, by the way, as of a Strange New Worlds episode, officially said to be socialist society.
I can't be happy for anything in Strange New Worlds. I hear the mention of it, and I just because
what's it called? Carol Kane, who is on Star Trek, which is beautiful. I'm so happy that Carol Kane is in Star Trek now. But she,
I don't know who that is.
Carol Kane, she was like the Penguin's mom in Gotham, and
really?
She was the landlord.
In Gotham. I've never seen Gotham. He was the landlord in what?
Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh yeah, I've never seen that either.
She's wonderful. She's in Princess Bride as well.
Oh,
but she's great. She's an amazing actor, and I like. She's like an old Broadway star. Like, she's great. But she like plays this like alien race that's been hiding on Earth for a long time, and she's like, I got a stash in Vermont just in case the socialist experiment you guys are doing doesn't work out. And I loved it.
God. I feel like I'd start crying blood if I watched that scene. No, I'm sure it's great though. I wish, I wish Tig Notaro got a better shot on New Trek. I love Tig Notaro.
I also love Tig Notaro. But like maybe that because these people have grown up in like a socialist society that doesn't like have such a premium on competition, that things like, because they kind of also imply that sports aren't really a thing anymore.
No, Parisi Squares. They're playing Parisi Squares.
Okay, yeah, but isn't Parisi Squares? Oh yeah, it's never mind. I thought it was more of a Bajoran thing, but I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, it's the game where you like kill people.
Okay, but it does seem like in a lot of ways like they've like competitiveness is just not a thing anymore.
We also did have the dad versus dad episode where they're fighting in whatever the fuck that thing was called, the ultimate culmination of martial arts. Like I don't think this is like a I don't think this is like a metatextual thing on like these people in this society not wanting to do something like that. But I mean, it is certainly a way of
it's a headcanon way of reading things.
And I think from like a writer's perspective, like they're not gamers. They don't understand. They don't understand us gamers.
I can imagine a society that doesn't have a lot of competition, that does like competition's not considered like a valuable thing, to be like, why are you gonna do it? You're gonna lose. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, well, yeah, and that it even confused me because like so Data's confused. So they're sitting down to compete, and like Data's confused at the like urge to compete, and Pulaski justify it by like saying like, oh, it's the thrill, which like, I mean, obviously Data can't understand the thrill or appreciate it, but like he does appreciate games. He plays poker. Like there's obviously other reasons other than the sensation of thrill to play something that like challenges you, but hey, whatever. But
it also feels like a bit of a culmination of Pulaski's like little arc of having more of like a appreciation of Data and respect for him.
Yeah, this is like the only episode where Pulaski appreciates Data to like literally any degree.
Well, it's the culmination of her arc. Like she starts off like I don't have.
I mean, I agree with that in like the sense that like first she was like really racist, and now she has at least some regard for him. But her only regard for him is like literally in just this one episode. I haven't really seen like an arc. It's
TNG. There's only a certain level of like character development that they really care about. So like this is a lot for them at this time.
We will have Renegade Cut on this episode, and I will finally confront him over the video. Dr. Pulaski is good, actually. But we actually titled the episode "Dr. Pulaski is bad," actually. But I see why people are saying it. But I mean, it's really only in this episode, and she's so awful at the beginning. I don't feel like she redeems herself. But I get why people see it. But yeah, so Data is like, oh, why would you even challenge? And Pulaski's like, hey, you should peg this guy. I want to see how your raw computational speed would fare at something like this. And so the game starts. Riker is dominated. He only makes 23 moves. The opponent makes exactly 100 and is over. And like Riker, in contrast to his very like laissez-faire, or his very like relaxed episode reaction earlier this episode, like earlier in the previous scene, and because he like seems genuinely frustrated. It's like this was only going on for like 10 fucking seconds, and now you're like kind of mad. Like, you know what you're getting into.
I could also like, there's something believable in that. Like if you did like, hey, like if you were like a chess enthusiast and you wanted to go up against the Grandmaster, and then you get like 3-move checkmated, I could imagine that being like,
yeah. And I have another theory about that regarding like him employing a cheese strategy, but also maybe he's
6-pooled against the Stratagema player. And...
If I got a chance to like fight Hydra, and I was like,
if I played Hydra, I would 6-pool immediately. Yeah. I would just like I would do the most cheese, not only because it's the only way that you could even have a chance of winning, because I know it would make him so mad.
Oh yeah. Well, but if Hydra like 6-pooled me, I'd be like, okay, well fuck you. but like maybe he's also frustrated because Worf lost some money in the ship's pool.
Yeah. What what? What was that for? They don't even have replicator rations. What the hell is this?
We've talked about this with Zots being like, why are they playing poker? They don't have any money.
I mean, you can play poker without money.
Yeah, well,
it defeats the fucking point.
Exactly.
The whole point is
sucks.
Like the whole point of fucking playing poker is like to like bluff. Like if you don't have a reason to protect what you got. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's that's the way. Why are you playing it?
You can
because
just,
then
fake money.
Well, exactly. Like, of course you can, but like it also sucks. Like, I mean,
it's also a society that's been communist now for like 300 years.
Exactly. So
why isn't there just like okay, god damn it. I understand this is a fictional world with fictional characters and everything like that. but like they're like they look at like they have Parisi squares, they have like this like stratagem game, they had all these other things, but no, we're gonna keep
Stratagema,
whatever the fuck, Stratego. That's what I wish it really was. It was just Stratego.
Zos, you're absolutely right, but and it's even weirder here because like poker, yes, hypothetically you can play with like fake money even though it's like not fun. But here like there's a pool. What the fuck are they betting? What are they betting? Like there's no.
Maybe it could be like maybe I don't know, undesirable work or something.
Yeah.
I also want
perhaps.
to point out when I see these scenes, I also found it very funny, imagining. The day on set with this, like it's like, all right, we're gonna put these cow udder sucker things on your fingers, and what do you pretend to do? I don't know, just wiggle your fingers a little bit and pretend it's really intense. And it's like,
that basically is what it is, isn't it? They're milkers. There's no IMDb. IMDb trivia has been really slacking in season 2. Unfortunately, they're all up on the season 1 stuff.
Because no one cares.
Hey,
because this is a dog shit fucking season.
You're a dog shit season, but I mean,
fucking
what's
his nuts should have died faster. Gene Roddenberry. There you go.
Well, unfortunately, Gene Roddenberry dies and gets taken over by a right-wing dickweed who's super misogynistic. So,
yeah,
I mean that's not good either. But
yeah, we'll get to the best of both worlds, and we have the worst of both worlds with the Star Trek showrunners there. The only good one besides Terry Mateus has been Iris Even Bear. But hey, we'll get to that. Do you look forward to Deep Space Nine coming in 2 years on Left Trek?
Goddamn.
Actually, probably not even that. So Riker is like so Riker's like so Riker is defeated. And blah blah blah. They go over to the other ship and it's beat up. It's on blocks. They beam over. There's copper wiring hanging out of the walls. Like Geordi doesn't even like consider sitting on the bridge and leaves it to Worf because engineering's gonna be such a shit show. Apparently, like Riker's like, everyone's gonna use a lot of sleep, and then my question is like, would the holodeck be better for something like this, or do they not really consider it as like an application for the holodeck at this point?
The holodeck is just for like going for weird walks in the woods or whatever it is they do.
Horseback riding, flirting with like bartenders, hanging out with Sherlock Holmes. It's not for like fighting. That'd be weird. And then Riker's on board the other ship, and he's still bitching even though he knew the challenge. Like this at this point represents a character flaw for Riker. He's a bitch. Stop complaining, Riker. God, it makes you look pathetic. So Riker's like, oh, well, hey, what's the Zactoran word for mismatch? And the Zactoran's like, talent. He's like, yeah, fuck you, Riker. But then he also says, we do not whine about the inequities of life. We see it as a challenge to overcome. And I'm like, okay, that's some lib shit, but hey, whatever. But they're talking about like strategery, but hey. So Riker is like apparently interested in like how, so Starfleet is apparently is interested in how they, maybe Riker in particular, handles themselves in a weaker situation. And
maybe I think that's probably talking about like, because I think this plays into it also a story about Riker, which is that they're grooming him to be a captain, and this is kind of part of that.
They're grooming Riker all over the place. And we see. I mean, hey, we'll see. Speaking of best of both worlds, right? We'll get to it. So Riker is but also the Zactoran's like, one is expected to win when you're in an advantageous situation, and like, oh, he's putting the screws to Picard here. But Picard leaves the bridge because now he's facing in some imposter syndrome, and the Zactoran's like, Data, I'm very intrigued by your challenge to strategy, and the Zactoran's like, why would I? But I don't know. Why would I want to fight a computer? Plasky steps in and uses the vanity against him, and he understands what she's doing because he's got a tactical mind. And Data kind of doesn't want to play in, and it's like, fuck, why is everyone taking this shit so seriously? It's a game, and like, wouldn't Data of all people would be interested in how this plays out? But we kind of see Data's nervous. Like Pulaski pressures him into the challenge, and Data, like, I don't know, he kind of looks a little worried. Like Like even the
Gotta point out, his name is Kohlrami, and his species are called the Zakdoran.
Yeah, I know. Well, I didn't remember his name exactly, but yes, Zachary Quinto, species, the Zachary Quintarians. Who is Zachary Quinto? I don't even know. I just
That's
know
the guy who
someone's
played
name.
Silas in Heroes and played Spock in the J.J. Abrams movies.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. Hey, look, I was on topic. So what? Yeah. So like Wesley is like, oh, I need to get one of my science experiments to the Enterprise, and Mr. Zach's like, oh, don't let him touch anything. It's like, and he's like, I don't know what record put him in the first place, some fucking non-commissioned child. And they set up earlier, they were talking about some antimatter, and they needed some antimatter. Oh, look at that, Wesley's experiment is some fucking antimatter. He tricks the security officer into allowing him to get the experiment, and then they're going to dispose of it by taking it to the transporter and particleizing it. That's a fascinating use of the transporter. You can literally just destroy something, just transfer all of its particles and just like spread them out to the infiniteness of space. It makes perfect sense, and I like it.
It just shows that like there's some stuff I've thought about where like in Star Trek, one of the things that seems like it could be one of the most horrific weapons or horrible things that could exist,
beaming everyone off the enemy ship,
is non-consensual transporters.
Yeah.
Like you could do terrible things with that, and they don't explore it in the show. Probably because it would get super fucked up.
Yeah, they don't explore it in like any show
somebody up
either.
and then just spray them into space.
Yeah, like the only time we ever see anything like that is like when some aliens are abusing the advanced technology because they're primitive, so they execute people using like the transporter. But yeah, like you could transport like an entire ship of people all at the same fucking time. Like it happens many times throughout the series. So like the moment there's a break in someone's shields, can't you just like you don't even need to transport them anywhere else. You could just vaporize all their entire crew instantaneously. Like you don't even need to move them anywhere. Just scatter them around a little bit and they're fucking dead. You go onto the bridge and there's just like piles of goop everywhere. It's horrifying. And again, one of the weaknesses of New Trek, that all these interesting ideas are not explored. Instead, they concern themselves with bullshit melodrama for every season of Discovery. But that's not here nor there. Me bitching about New Trek, as I've done many times. I just can't help but get my digs in. I'm so petty. Stop it. So stop it. That's to me. So Data and Zach, they're like, oh, they start playing Stratagema, and the security officer who replaced Worf, because Worf's over on Riker's team, he's overseeing it, and it's like, wait, do you need the security officer to oversee this? Is this game actually very dangerous in some way? But hey, the Zakdoran wins pretty easily, almost in exactly 10 moves. So I'm thinking, oh my god, maybe he did 6-pool both of these people. Like maybe he did use some sort of like cheese strategy that you can like bully some fucking noobs with. But hey, you know, so Zakdoran is like, oh well, I really enjoyed that, Data. Thank you very much. I'm at your disposal for a rematch. And Data's like, I lost, and everyone's like, Data, you're not supposed to lose. You're a fucking computer. And it's like, oh no.
Oh yeah, then he goes to have sad droid hours afterwards.
Yeah. The Zakdoran is still talking shit about Picard throughout the entire episode. And Picard pulls him aside. It's like, you've been...
Yeah, they go to a lot of work to make him just seem like the biggest asshole possible.
He's a fucking
they're trying to set up a real big payoff when he loses. Like that's what they want, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And he apparently like is a shitty to Riker, even though he's kind of shitty to everyone. Well, I guess he's mostly just shitty to Riker. But
he comes from like the libertarian planet where being an asshole is like a good thing or something. I think I mentioned.
Oh yeah, that's the Tellarites.
Tellarites are awesome. Tellarites are like they are the most underappreciated and underdeveloped species in Star Trek.
Did you watch Prodigy?
Yeah. Jenkum Pog, played by freaking what's it called? Jason Mantzoukas.
Oh,
It's great.
I didn't actually know that. I actually watch and enjoyed Star Trek Prodigy. It's knowing that they just
For somebody
erased
who,
it from existence.
For someone who hates New Trek, you seem to like a lot of New Trek.
No, well, so like New Trek specifically, New Trek's all of it, right? Like type, like as like a category, but New Trek is very specifically refers to like Discovery, Picard, and Strange New World, and most of those I hate. Season 3 of and that's pretty much entirely because of Alex Kurtzman, who is, in my opinion, one of like the like least creatives in entertainment. He made my least favorite big budget movie of all time, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. He was responsible for the fucking Mummy. Like he has lost so many important people, so many hundreds of millions of dollars, and then they keep giving him shit. He sunk a Spider-Man franchise. He sunk the fucking Dark Universe that had Tom Cruise in it, and then they're like, oh, let's just give this guy Star Trek. What the fuck? I got so mad. I like my voice is like giving out. But yeah, and so like I like anything that it's really
Take
just
a breath. Take a breath.
It's really just yeah. Sorry, I think my voice is giving out because I was using voice recording and taking my notes before this. So like yeah, I love Lower Decks. I think it's super funny. I love Picard season 3. I love Prodigy, but the common denominator all those things is Alex Kurtzman didn't get his greasy little hands on on them. So New Trek is really just anything that Alex Kurtzman is responsible for. But hey, you know, but Alex Kurtzman is still there. He still is the the guy. But
I mean, I would say that the same is true of Rick Berman. The closer he got to the show, the shittier it got.
And Rick Berman, that is exactly true. But it seems like there's much more creative control and like individual. I don't know. This is all my speculation because like all of New Trek is shitty in the same way that like everything Alex Kurtzman does is shitty. So that's why I feel very confident like blaming him for these things that are like, you know, obviously collaborative processes taking like hundreds of people. I mean, I
don't know. I'd say that there's parts of like what's it called? Like Enterprise has worse stuff than Discovery does, but okay.
I would sometimes disagree with that. I'm a very mild Enterprise defender. I think on the whole, Enterprise is leaps and bounds better than Discovery, but but I can't justify that opinion without taking up way more time.
Yeah.
So they're talking about their ship. Riker's like, you cheated. You brought this butt plug and inserted into our ship. That's cheating. But it's like, hey, it's not cheating because you know the Enterprise can do all this other shit. They can even go to warp. It's not like this is like warp disallowed situation. But yeah. So Data has imposter syndrome. Troy tries to talk to him, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I bruised your ego." And Data's like, "I don't have an ego. I'm sorry, this is leaving you a crestfallen." And Data's like, "I don't have a crest to fell." It's like okay. Apparently the shit they're talking about like using the antimatter properly. The ship might stall out, which I think is interesting. In which case, the Enterprise is just going to come over and beat them to death. But Pulaski comes, and then we come back. Pulaski is talking to Data, and it's like, "I'm sorry, I've given you imposter syndrome, Data." It's like, no. Data's like, "No, good. Now I understand that I'm worthless and I don't deserve my station of life, and it's all thanks to you. Thank you very much, Pulaski." But
and then she claps her hands and says, "Well, I finally done my part." And walks away.
I finally got this android out of Starfleet. My mission is accomplished. But Picard
just takes like a giant pile of gold pressed latinum from Bruce Maddox.
Then she's like, and then like Data.
I love that headcanon. What the
Data
fuck?
sad. Data like lost, goes to leave the room, and Pulaski's like, "Oh, Data, one more thing," and then throws the refrigerator magnet at him.
Ding.
All right, now you can leave.
I love Zotz, I love that bit of yours. That's amazing. But Picard, Data, Troy and Pulaski is like, Picard, you gotta talk to Data, and Data's like, and he's like, I don't care about your imposter. Get on the fucking bridge. That's an order. And Data's like, okay. So Data's back into it. He's reinvigorated by a classic Picard speech, and so he's been studying.
Which is basically just browbeating him into going back to work.
Yeah, basically. Data has been studying Riker's VODs, and Riker, he's an unconventional tactician, and so the most conventional thing he would do is to stick to the convention, but then he would know that we would know that, and so so presumably Data would have stayed there in that room if not interrupted forever in this feedback loop, but Troy recognizes that Data is in a feedback loop and is about to like self-destruct and destroy the Enterprise, so she stops that immediately.
By the way, we'll say on that note, on that exact thing, that there is a Voyager episode much later on. It's one of the low-key, really good episodes of Voyager that doesn't really get talked about a lot, but it kind of deals with like getting the AI getting stuck in a feedback loop.
Oh yes, the doctor one where he's like mourning.
It's so good. It's
That's
so
great
good.
one. I love it. I'm an Enterprise defender and a Voyager hater, but I love so many Voyager episodes, especially like many of the ones that don't get talked about very often, and that is high on the list. I love that. I also love the Voth and stuff. Oh, but I wish I remember the name of that episode that you're talking about, because that's a great one. So they start out the fight. They're fighting. They're on board the ships, and now the ships are fighting. So Picard's playing it very standard. He's trying to bait out Riker's tactics. And suddenly, oh my God, a Romulan. Sorry, I burped a little bit there. That was gross. I have feedback on it. I heard that. And I was like, ew. And I better fucking edit that out. Or here, I'll start over the sentence. The gauge. So they're starting. Fuck. So he's hoping to beat out Riker's tactics, and suddenly a Romulan warbird appears, and they can even see it on the screen. And I'm sitting here. I'm like surprised. It's like where they can see it on the screen. So I don't know. Like the sensors obviously they have more resolution and thoroughness than the view screen with your looking at it with your little human eyes do. So if you can fool a sensor, it's much exactly as simple to fool a view screen, or even much more so. But I'm still wow, they actually made it appear on the screen.
That was a bit silly.
I think it's fine because they just had Midjourney paint a Romulan warbird on the ship. It's good.
It fits. Yeah, they just have to count the amount of wings or something like that. Or
it's got fingers.
But yeah, the because they play around a lot with this, and I feel like the best version of this kind of fucking around with the sensors and stuff like that, because I think it's a thing that happens in some submarine warfare that they're kind of cribbing from.
Oh, but, it's a real thing. I didn't even.
I don't know for sure. You don't quote me on that, but I think that a lot of the times we're talking about doing sensor ghosts and stuff like that, they're doing stuff that that submarines do to fuck with each other's sonar. But the best version of this that would be more visual is a thing they did in an episode of Firefly, where they had something called the Crybaby, which was this tin can that emits a distress call that they just kick out the ship when they need to distract somebody.
Wow, that's cool actually. I still haven't seen that's Firefly is also on my list of things to watch. I still haven't looked at that. That's interesting. I really like that. But so yeah. Nice job, Worf. The fake Warbir's on the screen. The Zachdord is laughing. He's giddy. It's oh, this is great. I love strategery.
He's such a one note character. He's he's TOS Spock. Logic. We're the Vulcans of strategy.
I love him. I wish he was.
It's like when you read Tolkien and like all of like the what's it called? Like all Legolas talks about is how much he fucking loves trees, and it's like okay.
I want an entire series commissioned on this guy. I'll write it. Alex Crispin. And sorry for what I said. I will scab to write the Zach Dorn spin-off, the Zach Dorn Utrecht spin-off.
Unfortunately, I think that actor's been dead for like 20 years.
Now I'm sad. It's okay. We'll get a younger actor to play him. We'll get I don't know what's Donald Glover doing. I want a Donald Glover. I want a Donald Glover vehicle that's the Zach Dorn's Utrecht spin-off.
What's it
my
called?
pitch to you.
I just
Utrecht
remembered
producers.
that Donald Glover's new thing is he's getting a Lando show.
Is he? Oh my god, he's getting a Lando show. That's so good. He was,
and I'm like, I'd watch that.
I would absolutely watch. Yeah, he was like one of the only good parts of that fucking movie. I fucking hated that movie.
It's funny because it seems like the spin-off Star Wars are making TV shows that are infinitely better than the movies that they came from. But
there are some notable exceptions to that. But overall, yeah, absolutely. I mean, The Mandalorian season 1, obviously great. Andor, I imagine you've seen that, right?
It's on my list. I've seen one episode of it, and I liked it a lot.
It's so good.
I don't get to watch a lot of TV on my own. I'm trying to finish off Umbrella Academy season right now.
I see. I'm sort of the same way. But I don't even like Star Wars. And I love Andor. So big wreck for Andor there. But they're in a fight. The Ferengi ship suddenly appears and like, aha, no Raker, we're not falling for it again. Oh my god, we're actually getting attacked. Holy shit. Oh my god, we just got shot. The Ferengi are questioned like, what are you doing here? Why didn't you react even though you saw us approaching? That's why we punched you. That's why anytime I walk up to someone in the street and they don't notice me, I'm like, aha, you fool, and I just punch him in the back of the head. That's basically the galactic equivalent of what the Ferengi have done here.
I do love that in this period they're trying to establish the Ferengi as like some sort of scary military threat. And it's just like the vibe of the Ferengi in this is so different than they're going to be in like 3 or 4 years. It's really interesting to see like how they developed, because like at this point they're still trying to make the Ferengi scary, and it's like I know that like because this came out in like 89, so like in like 4 or 5 years Ferengi are going to be like completely like comedic characters. It's really interesting to see how that happens.
Even sooner than that, I think as well. But yeah, like wouldn't it be so much more interesting and so much more like appropriate if they were set up like maybe there's like some colony that's being like where the planet's being like disassembled and it's some Ferengi ship doing it, and the Ferengi just like do not factor in like the lives and suffering of these people whatsoever, because they're like, oh well, there's some fucking dilithium here, we're gonna take it on. It's just like the horror of like something like that happening, this like uncaring apparatus that's slowly like profit motive to the expense of like of life. But no, they never do anything interesting like that.
Low key though, the Ferengi episode of Voyager is very good too. There's a Ferengi episode of Voyager where they actually it's 2 Ferengi from a different episode of TNG that you're going to cover later that that then get sent to the Delta Quadrant and they pretend to be gods.
Yeah, and then Neelix I think Neelix also comes back to play a Ferengi again in like Enterprise, I think. Something like that happens, but but hey, the Ferengi came up, they punched him in the back of the head. They're like, hey, why are you fighting this shitty ship? You must be fighting it because there's something valuable on board. I'm not really following the Ferengi's logic with it, but okay. So the Enterprise is crippled. They cannot respond, apparently. The Ferengi could easily destroy them, so I don't know why this entirely like self-interested people wouldn't just kill everyone on board the Enterprise and then see seize both ships for whatever valuables they both might have. Like, wouldn't that be the obvious play here if you're the Ferengi? Like, they're supposed to be the like uncaring monsters or something, but like, I mean, but they have too much respect for like the sanctity of life, and I feel like, you know, a proper Yankee trader, quote unquote, wouldn't be doing such a thing. The Yankee traders certainly didn't give a shit about human life, so hey, whatever. But so, and it seems like also the best way out of the situation: evacuate everyone on board the other ship, and then leave and let the Ferengi have it. Like, would that be a great option here too? But because the Ferengi just want that other ship, and it's like they don't even want the people on it. It's like, all right, whatever. The Ferengi are being awfully merciful here. The Zactoran's like, no, leave Riker to his death. It's like, and Riker's like, yes,
brah.
no, he's right. Leave me to my death, Picard. Please, I want to die. I want this child on board to die. And then Picard reconsiders for a moment. He's like, no, we got to come up with a plan. So the plan, because surprise, Riker can go to warp because he's the best. That's what they say. So they don't. So apparently, they need a photon torpedo. They can shoot a photon torpedo. So obviously they're not defenseless. They can shoot photon torpedoes, but hey, maybe that wouldn't do anything. So they shoot a photon torpedo at the other ship, presumably blinding the Ferengi sensors. Then the ship warps away really quick. So they just think that they destroyed it. And then what we don't realize, because I'm like, this plan seems stupid. Aren't they just going to kill the Enterprise? And they do try to do that. But then, oh my God, there's another Federation ship approaching for out of range. Ferengi's like, oh fuck, we're outmaneuvered. We need to get the fuck out of here. And so, hey, Dave's smart. Hey, you know what? I'm not poking holes in that. Great. And the Zactoran is similarly impressed by the whole thing. He's gonna give Starfleet Command a positive review. See, he's not all bad. He respects talent when it's shown. He's a very anime style of character.
Wasn't there an anime reference in this episode?
Was there?
I thought I saw it when I was doing research on this episode. Let me see if I can find it for you.
Yeah, look into that. I looked through the IMDb trivia, and unfortunately, I said this before, but yeah, like the very unhelpful trivia throughout season 2. The one of my favorites here is that the final one of the things listed for this episode on the IMDb trivia is the final episode to air before the death of Mel Blanc, who voiced Daffy Duck in Duck Dodgers in the 24th century, which takes place in the same century as this series. And only 3 people found it helpful. 35 people disliked it, including me. Like, fuck off. It's a fucking IMDb bots. But so we cut back to. Oh,
I got the anime reference.
Oh yes, please.
The episode references an anime called Dirty Pair. After Picard convinces Data to return to his duties, K/Yuri's submodule can briefly be seen on the screen, showing Data's systems before being shut down. K and Yuri were characters in that series. Further, an Okudagram labels the war games Operation Lovely Angel in another episode later. So,
what is that a reference to?
It references 2 characters from an anime called Dirty Pair.
Are we?
It's
sure
an anime from the
this?
80s, so.
That's
yeah.
Well, okay. I'll put up the relevant here, Left Trek fans. I'll put up the relevant screenshot right here. Check it out. That's what the reference is. Wow, interesting. So we cut down to this episode was made by people that like anime too much, because the Zactoran, very anime style protagonist, extremely so.
Yeah, when Kohlrami runs into the room with a piece of toast in his mouth, it's pretty like
he bumps into Riker. Okay, so Oh my god, they're playing. So we cut back down to the strategy arena, and they're playing it, and like holy shit, it's not only it's gone past 100 moves, it's in the 25,000s apparently. The fucking, and then and it's going, and people are going nuts, and the guy, he just fucking quits in frustration because and everyone's like this is bullshit, I'm fucking out of here, and everyone's like, Data, you won, and Data's like, no I didn't win, even though when your opponent forfeits and like basically everything, that's a win for you, but so apparently Data's strategy, and this is my interpretation, and so Data's not playing to win. Data is just perfectly mirroring every single thing that the other guy does, which makes the game go on literally forever. So, and I suppose that makes sense. And the way they explained it is kind of weird. The way they explained it is that he wasn't trying to win, and so he never even like sought out obvious advantages. So he could make the game extend indefinitely, and like and
Turtle tactics.
Yeah. I mean, like something like that. Well, because he's not even like turtling. Well, I guess he is kind of, because like he would win eventually, because he can keep going basically forever and outlast his opponent, which contradicts the previous assessment that of physical superiority not mattering in a game of wits, because like, no, if you Data can keep going forever, so he can't actually beat this guy. So this is the W. He's undefeated. Data is now the best Stratagema player because he's the only one that can play forever. Stratagema is finally a solved game. Like, I know that's not technically what a solved game means, but wow, Data now the best Stratagema player of all time. They don't talk about the implications of this. They're just like, oh, we can technically consider this a win. No, this is a definite win. Data, you won. You beat the best, because now you're the best. Congratulations.
Next episode, Data in his chair at Ops is like one of those like gamer chairs, and he's like sponsored by Prime or something.
Yeah, he's got
Prime logo on his uniform.
He's got G Fuel. It's a Monster Energy chair. Well, fuck, if that's not the episode. So let's get to thought. First, we'll start out with Zot. Zots, we've been talking so positively about the episode. Please rain on everyone's parade. Zots, do your thing.
I don't know. Like, I'm glad there's only one episode left after this, I guess. I can reevaluate myself.
You're not going to be glad when you actually watch it. That's all I'm going to say.
Fuck yeah.
Oh God, which one is this?
It's the writer strike one.
Oh, it's been a minute.
People don't even remember it because I don't want to spoil it. You'll remember. You'll remember.
I got nothing to really say about this episode. I enjoy. I can't say that I enjoy. Enjoy is doing a lot of lifting when I say this. It's really fucking doing a lot of work in this context.
Uh-huh.
But like, these episodes where like Pulaski is always like egging, like going back to like the Sherlock episode, right, where like Pulaski's egging Data on, right, to like, because she's being like an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's
doing it on purpose, and like
she's using Data as a prop because she's annoyed by this guy.
Yeah, and so it's like, it's I don't know.
At least she feels bad
I'm not
about
a fan.
it.
Sure, yeah.
Only because of its negative consequences.
Only because she understands that like what she did has wasted Picard's time. That's as far as her give shit goes. Yeah. So it's I don't know. I really got nothing. I really wish I could fucking tell you, but like it's this just fucking hell.
Well, Tristan, closing thoughts.
It is. So I always talk about this when you are deep into Star Trek nerddom. It is a objectively terrible television episode, but it is a good bad Star Trek episode. It is a top tier bad Star Trek episode where it's not interesting. It's not one of those ones that haunts you for the rest of your life, like the flute episode. But it's one of those episodes that, like, if you were binge watching Star Trek, you're like, yeah, all right, I was entertained. That's Quark, and like sometimes Star Trek doesn't do this anymore, and modern TV really doesn't do this much anymore. But like having an episode where the stakes are kind of low and you get to just focus on having fun with the characters, this is one of those. Like,
true.
Riker gets some character development in this. Data gets a little bit, like it's like a little bit of like a slice of life thing, kind of like like to me it like feels on par with the episode where they do the like random Klingon crew exchange program where Riker has to go on the Klingon ship for a while.
We did that one. that was earlier. We had some fun with that one because I hate the Klingons, but that's a recent opinion of mine. It's mostly just because of Worf being a reactionary, which we also talked about in the last episode, because Worf keeps trying to non-consensually marry this woman. That was a fun one. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. The nice little kind of casual ones. They're not advancing any kind of plot, but they're fun. It's fun. It's a fun one.
It's a fun one if you like know the characters and you're like, yeah, this is the one where Data becomes a pro gamer. That's fun.
Not one that I would suggest to anyone to get into the series. Oh, you want to get into Star Trek? Yeah, you should start on Peak Performance. Can you imagine?
What sucks though is because, like, in my opinion, the best Star Trek episode is also kind of like that, because you kind of need to know the context of what's going on to show why it's so good. But
that's true. What is your favorite Star Trek episode?
Oh, definitely In the Pale Moonlight.
I love that one. I rewatch them all the time. Mine is another Deep Space Nine one. It's a seldom recognized one. It's I don't even remember it. It's the one where I don't remember.
Move Along Home.
Yes.
where they get Jumanji'd.
I love some Jumanji. Jumanji's my favorite movie as well. No, I'm just kidding. What is my favorite movie? Oh, whatever. No, it's the one where Jake Sisko's old. He's like an old writer.
Oh yeah, that one won like an award. Like I think it got like an Emmy or something.
Oh really? Well, I agree with the Academy here.
That one's like, I don't remember what that one's called, but it's like genuinely considered one of the best Deep Space Nine episodes.
I think I just. Oh, sorry, I like broke my headset. Yeah. No, it's a great one. It's that one's definitely my favorite. It's right up there with most of the.
Although I'm gonna put up with my favorites. I'm gonna put up as one of my favorites recently. Maybe time will temper it, but Subspace Rhapsody. Holy shit! Such a good episode of Star Trek.
What's that one?
That's the musical episode of Strange New Worlds.
All right. Well. Sorry. I should have got the thoughts with everyone's ratings. Zots, what would you out of 100 total moves needed to defeat an inferior opponent? How would you rate this episode?
Now, wouldn't the more moves you make mean that it's bad? Like, you want to beat your opponent in the fewest moves?
Well, there seems to be some sort of like time element to it, because like the very fact
whatever
that, like,
if we're taking this at 100%, I would say it's like a 25. That puts it right at Measure of a Man.
Yeah, I think it's slight. I think you have it rated slightly higher than Measure of a Man, as a matter of fact.
Hell yeah, keeping the meme alive.
You're rated. I think your rating for Measure of a Man was 6 out of 25. Same with like Nicotine. Fucking.
Yeah.
I talk to Nicotine all the time now. I'm not gonna let her live that down. Tristan, out of what's the other one? Out of 25,000 total moves needed to make Hydra rage quit. What would you rate this?
It's your APM. That's the moves.
Yeah.
Your APM.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Out of 380 APM, what would you rate this episode?
I give it 2 fictional spaceships out of 5. I don't know. It's a solid C+ episode.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So someone hit me with one. Someone give me a rating scale.
All right. Ooh. This is tough.
This is always the hardest part of Left Track, where you really got to put people on the spot.
Out of 5 crew members to bring aboard your dilapidated hoopty of a ship.
How many children do I?
yeah.
How many children out of 5? Yeah.
How many children out of 5 do you bring out for your war battle?
I'm gonna do it the opposite. Like how many fully competent and grown adults do I use out of 5? In which case, just like Riker, I will rate this episode a 4 out of 5. I'm only bringing one kid along. A 4 out of 5. Can I justify that? Yeah, I could justify that. I liked it. I actually liked it. I think I'm being very okay. Never mind. I'm taking it away. 3.5 out of 5.
It's satisfactory.
Yeah. With 3.5 out of 5, maybe one of them's like 22. A satisfactory episode. I fully agree. I actually kind of liked it. This is the common the flaw I have with most of the bad season 2 episodes is because the writing is notably so much tighter, especially the dialogue writing in season 2 than it was in season 1, and I really like good dialogue writing. Like a good line carries a lot for me, and we've got a lot of them too. Like I skipped over like Riker asking Worf to join his team, and then Riker's like you're outgunned, you're outmanned, you're out-equipped. What do you have left? And Worf responds, guile. Yeah,
I do love that it's still from the era when TV shows had that cute ending to cute one-liner to end the show with, right?
Yeah, and that was great. I love that. I love Geordi talking to Agadu. I love some of the Zach Dorans being shitty. I love some of the Zach Doran being toxic, especially to Picard, who's like, oh, when one is in a superior situation, one is expected to win. Picard's like stone.
When you get to Unity Part 1, you'll see another Zach Dorn.
Unity Part 1.
That's Zach the one Dorn with that one? There's a Zach Dorn, yeah, in the episode with Spock, yeah.
Interesting. I rewatched that episode sometimes. I haven't noticed that. I'll have to pay more attention. Oh no, you're right. I can remember now. He runs the shipyard. He's not really an asshole. He's just he is kind of an asshole. He's a much more mild asshole. He's an asshole. He's just like an overworked like retail employee who doesn't want to help a customer that's coming along. Riker's like, hey, can you help me find this thing? And he's like, no. But yes, I like this episode. It was fun. If you're one of those people, one of those weirdos out there doing a watch along, hey, did you have fun with this episode? Leave it in the comments. What did you think of this episode? Comments. Get in fights over the comments. Do you agree with my opinions? Do you, or not? Do you what do you hate? What do you dislike? What are your hopes? What are your dreams? Please put them into the comments in many different sections, and then also like and subscribe. Well, shit. Well, we already got everyone's closing thoughts. That sure is an episode, folks. Look forward to next episode where we have a special surprise for Zotz. Is it potentially the most exciting episode of all time?
I remember this episode now. Oh, boy.
Stay tuned next week on Left Track.
Are you coming back for that one?
I would not in a million years come back for that. You're on your own, bud.
Well, shit. Bye.